Lily Sunshine, and welcome back to hashtag a shy moment. Talk to me Tuesdays, Shy's a book corner. Y'all, I'm always hyped to do videos, but I am especially hyped to do today's video because not only is receiving books like the best thing ever, but receiving free books is even better. And this entire bag is filled with books that I get to add to my bookshelf. So I work with students and they were doing locker clean out, which means that they were getting rid of books that they no longer wanted. And with that being said, that meant that I got to keep all the books that they did not want, and I could not be thrilled. So I actually don't remember what's in this bag because it's taken some time to collect all of these. So let's get right to it. We have a classic, Fahrenheit 451. I read this in high school, I believe, or maybe even middle school. I don't actually remember what it's about. I just know that it's a very banned book in many places, so we're looking forward to that one. We have The Boys in the Boat, which I've heard is super good. This one I actually got from one of my coworkers who was gifted this book years ago and didn't want it. This one I'm told is super good, The Call of the Wild and White Fang. I'm not a huge fan of books that are cut this way just because the font is always so small and I tend to fall asleep, but that's neither here nor there. Then we have Girl with a Pearl Earring. I have been dying to read this one, so I am so excited. This one also has annotations from the person that gave it to me, so little cheat code, love that. We have They Both Die at the End, just based off the cover. I feel like it's gonna be a good one. Copper Sun. A lot of these I've never actually heard of, so I'm interested to see what they're actually all about. Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read this my freshman year of high school with Miss Regalis, who is one of my favorite teachers that I've had my entire educational life, but especially in high school. She's actually where I met one of my best friends, Ty, because she made us sit next to each other and we became friends due to that. So this one definitely holds a lot of sentimental value to me. I'm excited to read it now as an adult to see if I pick up on anything different or if I'd have a different perspective. One of the classics, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I love the classics. I loved reading this. I read this in college. I don't have anything else to add to it other than Frankenstein was for sure one of my favorite books that I read. This edition is not just the story itself, but also a lot of annotations by different scholars who dissect Mary Shelley's text. I didn't read this specific version in college. I read just Frankenstein itself. This is the actual story itself. Everything else is notes and dissections of the work and whatnot. So I'm interested to read. I probably will read this part only to see, what it is that they actually dissected and what correlations they make and all that kind of stuff. Things that are considered nerd things. Okay, what else is in this bag? The Reason for God. I am very interested in reading this one simply because I don't read a ton of text about religion or anything pertaining to religion. I am definitely interested in knowing what this is about. I am going to probably add it to the top of my list so that I can tell y'all what I think. Definitely not one of my romance novels, so this one is educational. We have The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis. This one's probably read in middle school just based off of how short it is, but also the font size and whatnot. But it seems like a super cute book, and I actually have never heard of this book by C.S. Lewis. I am like most, maybe. I don't know if this is like most, but I've only read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Not even that entire series, so I look forward to this one. We have Black Boy by Richard Wright. This one has also been on my to-be-read list for some time now. This bag is just never ending. We have James Baldwin, Go Tell It on the Mountain. Big fan of James Baldwin. Did not read this one either, so looking forward to it as well. We have Dracula. Surprisingly, I've never read Dracula. I don't actually know if this is considered a classic read or not. I just know who Dracula is. We'll see if I actually dive into that one. We have Grimm's Fairy Tales. I love Grimm's Fairy Tales simply because they tell the other side of what we consider to be the classics. So Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, I believe is one of them in here. You have Hansel and Gretel and whatnot. And I don't know, I admire their work because it tells the not so shiny side of all of those stories that we grow up learning about. I mean, even on the front you have Hansel and Gretel. Ew, look at my fingers. Creepy. Hansel and Gretel. I'm smiling so hard because I am so happy that I found this book. we're dwindling down, y'all, but we have next Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is another one I am familiar with but have not read yet. I'm surprised I haven't read that. I feel like there's so many references that we make or that we hear about and retain that relate to things that we have no prior or personal knowledge to. How fascinating. Beloved, this was my introduction to Toni Morrison, and I will forever be grateful for AP English with Miss Tresca in high school, because she opened my life up to one of my favorite authors that I did not know at the time was my favorite author. I loved this book so much. So I have quite a few of her books on my shelf already, so I'm happy to actually have another fresh copy of the book that introduced me to her. This is an amazing read. If you have not read it, I definitely am going to try to read it again now being older, because I'm sure that there are things that my high school brain didn't comprehend that I would now. All right, y'all, we have 2 left in the bag. We have the Fair Tax book, Saying Goodbye to the Income Tax and the IRS. That looks interesting as well. Definitely not one of my romance novels, so a little like educational reading. And then The Wonderful World of Oz, surprisingly another one that I didn't read. I don't know if this makes me dorky or not, but they have an entire section in Barnes & Nobles, and I think other bookstores too, that have all of the Penguin classics in this kind of like cover scheme. And when I was younger, so my sister and I are 4 years apart, so she read books before I did, clearly, and a lot of her collections had the classic covers on them. And I used to remember going in there and like sneaking her books off her shelf because I was obsessed with their covers, to the point where when we went to Barnes & Nobles, I was like, I have to read every single one of them just because their covers were thrilling. Maybe I'll start with this one. It is a little bit of a longer read. So y'all, in total we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 new books for this collection. Can't be happier. These are really, really heavy. So with all that being said, my lovely sunshines, thank you as always for tuning in to another episode of #A Shy Moment Talk to Me Tuesdays, a book corner. I cannot wait to share with y'all what I am doing next relating to books and all things writing and reading and all of that fun stuff. As always, I love you, sunshines, oodles, and noodles, and I'll see you next Tuesday, if not tomorrow. Bye.